All right, we sit down. You ready?
All right, let's go, let's go.
Got a lot of people at the booth still.
You guys ready to drink from this fire hose of freedom? All right, let's get them butts in the seats. Let's get this thing fired off. He's got a month worth of material to cover in 2 days and a half.
At least. Yeah, I could probably go on for 6 months. How many veterans we have in the room? Veterans of war. Thank you. We have a wonderful man in the state national movement out of California, soon to be out of Texas. He's moving to Tyler. He's just bought a house in Tyler, and he's going to be moving there, but for 30 years, he's been out of California. His phone number is on this California phone number on the back of this brochure. Any of you veterans, he may be able to get you additional benefits. I've seen him get $500 to $2,500 a month in additional benefits. And if you're a widow, do this too. Give Glenn a call. His name is Glenn Beaver, Bever. You can come up and take pictures of this brochure. I've got one out there on the end of the stage there. And take pictures of this brochure and give him a call. He will help you get benefits that you've earned, that they don't just say voluntarily hand to you, okay? So it's important. All right, before I get started again, I want to invite Dr. Buzz up here. And who's a big, strong man who'd like us to demonstrate on? Don't be shy. She's volunteering you. Now we got to turn the machine off for this. We got to turn the machine off. Can you turn the machine off in the back? Bonnie, you got to turn yours off too. Those machines will screw up the experiment. So we got to have them off. You got tech or you need tech?
I got tech. We good? Hey everybody, blessings. I'm Buzz Thompson. And hey guys, blessings everybody. I'm Buzz Thompson. And I met David sort of by a divine accident. A friend of mine,
rodeo star,
who was had mold toxicity. She bought an air technology that we had developed about 5 years ago, and she calls me and she said, "Hey Buzz, I'm working with the Republic of Texas in Texas." And I said, "Well, I'm from Texas. Yeah, how can I help?" And she said, "I need one of your air machines. You know, it's kind of I just want to make sure that I'm protected in this new environment." And anyway, so she went on, she said, "Have you ever heard of David Straight?" And I said, "Man, that guy's videos have been popping up on my thing, but it's an hour and 45 minutes. And I said, "I don't have an hour and 45 minutes. So I just kept delete, move, go. I said, "But I drove down from Tennessee to Florida." I live in Tennessee now. And as on my drive, I watched that guy's video for an hour and 45 minutes. I said, "So just this week, I found out who David Straight is." So I'm thinking, this is a wild coincidence. So anyway, I go to ship her an air machine, and I had just bought the worldwide rights to this really amazing technology, which I didn't fully understand yet, but it worked 100% of the time on 100% of the people instantly to protect us from EMF, Wi-Fi, 5G, that kind of thing. It was the most incredible thing I'd ever seen. And I sent a bracelet to Amy for David. And she said, "Well, I'll tell him." I go, "He doesn't know me from anybody, and I don't have any information on this thing. I just sent it." As God would have it, a few months later, I walk into Republic of Texas, and I meet Bonnie, and she says, "Would you like to meet my husband, David Straight?" And I said, "Okay." And he shakes out his hand, and he's wearing the bracelet. And I'm like, "You know what that thing is?" And he says, "I understand energy." And he said, "But more importantly, I understand what's going on." And he said, this thing's incredible. So anyway, then I did a little muscle test on him, and he was like, that's what I thought. So if we can do a, Vernon, you're right. We got a big, strong guy here.
Do
So
we need like 3 really big, strong guys?
how about a few different people? Let's do we got some time. How about, come on up. And then I need somebody who's wearing glasses around here. Come on up here.
This lady's willing. Okay,
we got somebody. We need a woman. Come on up. Oh my gosh, this is going to be like the county fair. Okay. Good. So we have David over there. David, you'll test those folks, and I'll test a couple here first. So the first thing I want you guys to notice is that the air in the room should feel a little bit different right now than it did a couple of moments ago.
Set your glasses.
There's a technology that what you're getting ready to see here is an example, but we've turned off the machine that's emitting this information to everybody.
So you're benefiting from it just sitting here. And we've had people in former David Strait events that live with chronic pain. And when they were there, they didn't even know the machines were running. They're like, I'm pain free right now.
And then we
Remember
turned it
that?
off.
Then we turned it off and the pain came back. Weird, but cool. I mean,
Okay, so what I'm going to do here, and David can go on that side. So all we're going to do is ask you if you guys would just put your feet together.
Just put your feet together.
Totally together. You can have them touch them together, okay? And then if you would just turn your palms up.
There you go.
Okay, so we're going to do
turn
a
your
little,
palms
this is kinesiology. We're going to do a little muscle test. And here's what's going on.
Just
We're
grab my
all
hand.
being under attack right now. We're being attacked by our tech. It's like we have this abusive relationship with our tech, and we just keep taking it. If we saw the bear attacking us, if we saw the attacker, we would flee. But the problem is we don't see the attacker, so we just stand and take the abuse and take the abuse and take the abuse. Well, what happens is your autonomic nervous system that's measuring everything and monitoring everything all around us says, hey, dude, we're under attack. And so it starts producing adrenaline and cortisol, stress hormones under fight or flight to get us out of here. The problem is we've gotten used to living on adrenaline and cortisol, and we don't leave. So during the day, your body's supposed to use its resources to defend the fort. And at night, it's supposed to use resources to repair the fort. The problem is the fort is under attack by flaming arrows 24/7. And this is degenerative issue that leads to weight gain and lack of sleep and chronic degenerative conditions and all kinds of stuff. It's literally shortening our lives. So what this technology does is it matches our DNA waveform. It's kind of like two of you coming together and makes you stronger from a bioenergetic perspective. So what you're getting ready to see is an example of us in our compromised state, and then an example of us in our bioenergetically protected state. So all I'm going to do, and I'll go down the line, but if David, if you do it there, is on the count of 3, I'm going to apply pressure straight down, and I want you to be strong and resist. And all I'm going to do is see how much strength it takes for your body to tilt just this far, okay? Okay. Yeah, just to see how much strength it takes for your body to tilt into my hand, okay? In 3, 2, 1, resist. No, let's try this again. No, don't tilt, don't lean into me. I'm going to push straight down, okay? You stand strong and resist me. In 3, 2, 1, resist. Okay?
so now the big guy, the big strong guy with the green shirt on. Come here,
Now hold that
sweetheart.
in that
Come a little
hand.
closer to me.
We're going to do it again.
In 3, 2, 1, resist.
About twice as much, at least 20
Let
pounds.
your arms down here. Okay.
Right?
All right.
Here.
In 3, 2, 1,
Put that in
resist.
that hand.
I need a bigger guy to do this. Okay. Okay. Now we're going to put some
Getting harder and harder, huh?
We're going to put some tech. Just hold this in your hand. Okay? And what it's
Feet
doing is
together.
enhancing your field, and we're blocking the stuff that makes us weak.
So the tech has been put into the jewelry.
And you can
I almost can't pull him over.
Okay. You can put this one down. Same thing, okay?
So he went from about 10 pounds of weight to 20 to probably 40 pounds to almost all my strength, and I weigh 220 pounds to hold him up just by having the tech in his hand.
3, 2,
Right.
1, resist.
Just hang on to it for a minute.
Now look at this lady. She's not even moving. She's just got one bracelet in her hand. Remember what just happened?
Okay, now take the bracelet away. Take the bracelet away. Try this. In 3, 2, 1, resist.
Tipped her right over.
So I'll do it again. 3 feet together. 3, 2, 1, resist. The key is I'm pushing straight down, not trying to pull her off. No. Now I'm going to turn on. Y'all notice if you feel anything different. I'm going to turn on the technology.
So the tech is out of your hand now.
Okay, no,
Just
it's
take the
okay.
tech. Take
No, I'm going to leave it in his for.
No, he's got the machine going.
I know, we're going to do this different. I'm going to see how much stronger he is with the tech and the machine.
Oh boy.
1, resist.
I'm going to push hard. I was almost lifting my feet off the ground.
Now she does not have any tech on at all, and the machine's going, and you saw how much stronger she is. Right. But that would,
Thank you.
the machine in your home
Don't
would
forget
go all
your
the way up
glasses.
to a 4,000 square foot to make everybody in the home stronger.
He's too big for me, man. But let me show you something. I want to show you guys something and educate you about something else really quickly. So we talked about chemtrails earlier, okay? And I had an experience. I have a condo in Las Vegas. I'm up on the roof. I'm in the pool, and it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I see a plane flying right for the sun doing chemtrails. And I thought, that's an unusual time of day for this to happen because I know the patterns usually. And as the plane crossed right in front of the 4:30 in the afternoon sun, I felt like I took a big, deep breath of powder, and I started coughing. And I look up, and it's right in front of the sun. And I thought, that's really weird. And then the plane turned around and went back and made an X right in front of the sun. Anyway, I couldn't breathe. I had to clear my throat. So I go down to the condo, and outside I hear music outside on the street on Las Vegas Boulevard. And I thought, that's kind of weird to hear this much music. So I look out the window, 25,000 people dressed up as Elvis for a rock and roll marathon. So what I believe happened is photonic delivery of bad information to everybody. I used to think that the chemtrail stuff had to land, and I'd see them spray it, and I go, that's going to land in Wyoming or something, right? What I'm getting ready to show you, please take note of, because it is photonic delivery of information. So we have the sun, the photon generator, we have the cloud of the bad stuff, and then we have us down here. As soon as the sun hits the bad stuff, the information from the bad stuff is delivered to everybody at the speed of light. So I'm going to turn off the air machine, and we're going to do a test with just light information.
Did anybody see the chemtrails here in Canadian yesterday? Did that not look weird? You had clouds and then these little fingers that you could see the chemicals. And it is not safe to be outside when the sun is behind that because, like he said, it's coming to you at light speed, that chemical, whatever it is, barium, aluminum, at light speed coming to you.
So we have no technology on right now, and I've turned off the machine. So we're going to do in 3, 2, 1. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Shine a light on.
Yep.
So there's information being photonically delivered through the light. 3, 2, 1.
I know Buzz needs a mic.
Did you notice the difference?
Just from,
Okay, turn off the light.
Hold the mic up to Buzz.
In 3, 2, 1, resist. Okay, guys. So thanks. That's it. We have technologies that are bioenhancing, bioprotective. We're going to turn this back on and protect everybody in the room. Blessings and thank you, guys.
Don't turn it on yet. We got the big guy that you couldn't do. Come here.
Okay.
Okay. He is big too, boy.
He
Your
is.
hands are like Bobby's.
It's like a bear paw.
feet
His
together.
hands are that thick.
Feet together.
All right, put your feet together. Okay. Now just hold my hand. I'm going to push straight down. I thought he was going to be strong.
Now turn on the machine.
But you notice I'm holding, right? That was quite a bit.
That's one
It was,
bracelet.
I was pushing harder.
2 bracelets.
Ready? Fair test. Put your hand down. All right. Ready?
Hold on, I'm really going to juice him up.
Yeah, juice him up.
A necklace and 2 bracelets. Now let's turn on. give me the
Okay,
t- give
so
me the
take
t-
that off. Take that off.
Yeah, now
Let's
we'll
go
do
back.
the-
Now you
do
got to.
the
This is
machine.
no cheating here. Let's go back. 3, 2, 1.
Pull you right over. Wasn't even trying.
Thank you so
no,
much.
do you want to do the machine again? Turn the machine on and have him try?
You want to try it?
So, guys, I have the data in the back of the room. This technology dropped my biologic age by 10 years. And the reason that I invested in this company is I've never seen anything works 100% of the time on 100% of the people instantly, but we're all impacted by this stuff. So I guess that would make sense. So it doesn't matter if it's EKG, ECG, blood work, your body instantly goes from sympathetic to parasympathetic, which is run on adrenaline to just rest and relax. And, boy, I forgot what else I was going to say. But anyway,
Nobody knows adrenaline like a bull rider.
the other thing I was going to say is we don't tell people your discount code. So we have prices on our website, and the website for anybody online, which I'll come over here and say because we did a couple events, we didn't say it. It's biofieldShield.com. www.bioffield, Biofield, the field that's comes off of our body. BiofieldShield, SHIELD.com. www.biofieldShield.com. And then
you get a 20% discount if you add the promo code DLS. That stands for David Lester Straight. So this technology is not offered elsewhere. It's only through the Liberty community, and with David Straight events, it's 20% off if you enter the DLS, David's initials, DLS for promo code.
yeah, we haven't launched this to
20%.
the public. This is not public accessible.
I
yet.
want you to picture something for a minute. You've heard of the United States military super soldier program? I want you to imagine every piece of their gear, every single piece of their gear with this technology. And now you'll wonder why they have the super soldier program.
This is quantum stuff, guys. It's
Yep.
not- okay. So do a regular test now.
Yep. Turn
So we're
on.
going to do the.
Well, first do it without. Let's see.
Oh, I did it without just a minute ago. He pulls over pretty easy. He's not that strong.
Okay.
I'm barely pushing down.
Okay, now we're on.
All right. Ready?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Blessings, everybody.
So wait, we want him to tell one more story. Hold on.
Okay.
Remember the guy in Minnesota that had adopted 5 special needs children? Most of
Yes.
them were autistic. And can you tell the audience just a little bit about some of the victories? He told you the very next day after buying some of the tech at the event. He came back the very next day with victory stories. Can you just briefly highlight?
Yeah, this gentleman, his name is Dr. Mike. He's in Minnesota. And he told me that he had adopted 5 special needs children. They were a foster family. And when they would see children coming by that they knew would not be treated well by the system, they said, we need to adopt these to protect them. And I'm like, who does that on purpose, right? This guy's a saint. And so I said, just take some of this stuff home. And we've had amazing results with people with autism. Because what happens is when you're health compromised, your body is easily impacted by external stressors. And so having this barrier it just gives you greater latitude before being triggered by something. And I said, just take it home. He came back the next day and he literally brought all kinds of stuff to bless me. Like he said, we snuck away into the office. He goes, let me give you an adjustment. Let me do this, anything I can do because you changed my family last night. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, my 13-year-old daughter, who we've had her since she was 2, when she's on her period, she's very antisocial. She comes, like we'll smear blood on the walls kind of thing. They can't go to restaurants because she'll jump in other people's booths and eat their food. Wets the bed every night, and is not social with the family during that time. And he said, we sprayed her pillow with some of the technology and she slept through the night without urinating in the bed for the first time since we've had her. She came down and ate breakfast with the family. I went there after Idaho. We went there because he said, you guys have to come and visit us. And we went and visited her. visited with the doc, and he said, my daughter has not wet the bed one single time, and she's very interactive on a regular basis with their brothers and sisters that are in the household now. There was another doc, and I'm going to just, probably shouldn't tell this story, but I'm going to tell it because it's close to my heart. Dr. Christine did not disclose to me when we met her at an event. She's very sensitive to energy, and she said she was with a client of hers, a patient, and when we did the test where we turned on and off the machine, the patient said, oh my gosh, and the doc put her hand on her leg and said, no, this is good. And so she tells me this story afterwards. Well, anyway, I go to visit her and Doc Mike in Minnesota after North Dakota event, and she just can't, she's like, I've been waiting for you. She said, I didn't tell you this before, but I have cancer that's in remission, and I'm in that space. And she said, there's a test, the American tests are designed to catch like a shark in a net, way kind of when it's too late, probably by design. There's a Greek test that I knew about, and I said, do you do the Greek test? And she said, I'm a trainer for the Greek company and help establish their clinics around the world. This is designed to catch a minnow in the net. And a lot of times when people have had cancer or tumor removed, they think they're cancer-free, but what you really have are these circulating tumor cells going through your body, just waiting for someplace else to land. She said, my circulating tumor cell count has been 5.0 for about the past 6 years. She said, the day I put on the pendant, my circulating, she said, my body heated up. I haven't even told you this story. She said, my body temperature went up to 103 degrees the day I put on the pendant. She said, it has been 103 degrees every day until now, except for one day. And the one day was when I took it off to get in the shower and I forgot to put it back on. And she said, I got to the clinic and my temperature was the regular temperature. She says, this is a good thing. She said, I went and had my circulating tumor cell count done about 10 days after I started wearing the tag. My count went from 5.0 to 3.7 in 10 days. She said, 10 days later, I did a subsequent count and it went to 2.2. And she said, Buzz, next week, I'm going for my next test. She said, I'm going to 100% defeat this. And I said, she said, thank you. And I said, it's God. We're just been blessed with this stuff to try to help your body help itself. And she said, that's what's happening. My body is heated up to, cancer can't live over 102 degrees, by the way, something to that. So
Quick question. What happens when your body is always in fight or flight mode? Is the stress?
It's just like running your car on high RPMs all the time, right? You burn it out faster. So I'm in anti-aging longevity medicine. The holy grail for us is we can't do anything about our chronological age. That's the day we came off the assembly line, but you can do everything about your biologic age, and that's the wear and the tear on this vehicle that we have.
So what does cortisol look like on a person's middle?
Well, it's one of those, cortisol is pretty, cortisol can be beneficial. It's one of those things. It's like anything, it's balance. But too much cortisol is terrible for the hippocampus, which is your short-term memory. And there's a lot of people that they're just not quite as sharp as they used to be. A lot of that has to do with cortisol overproduction. The other problem is adrenaline, and everybody's running on adrenaline and cortisol right now, whether we like to think about it or not, because we're constantly under attack by this invisible invading army that we don't see. And
when you say that, you mean the EMFs,
all that type of stuff. Yeah. But also it contributes to belly fat. And one of the things that allowed me to realize something was going on with my body, and all I did was put on a bracelet. Honestly, guys, I didn't even know what this thing did. I just thought it was jewelry. And then I have a shoulder that needs surgery, and I can lift weights, and I lost 20 pounds. And so I went to one of my doctor friends, and I said, can you hook me up to something and figure out what's going on with my body? I lost 20 pounds, and I didn't try. And I'm not stress eating, but I know what you're getting at. Cortisol, belly fat. Okay, so it helps with helps in that area as well. But I'm gonna tell you one other last story, real quick, and that's that this has made my wife and I's relationship better. I used to rodeo, and I had a lot of inflammation, and I would toss and turn all night. And my wife starts booking hotel rooms with 2 beds, and I said, "Were they sold out? What's the deal?" And she's like, finally, she fessed up, and she said, "I just need to get some sleep." And we both started wearing the tech. And I stopped tossing and turning. And the next thing you know, we're back in hotel rooms with 1 bed. Thank you, Lord. All right, blessings, you guys. Thank you.
God bless you, Buzz. Thank you. www.biofieldShield.com, DLS as the promo code. It will bless your life. And part of it being free is also being free from Big Pharma. We had a Republic of Texas guy last month at our Republic of Texas meeting on October 8th announced that he had been on high blood pressure medication for 18 months. As soon as he got the tech, he no longer needed his high blood pressure medication and had been off of it. I noticed the day I got my first bracelet from them, which was, I don't know, 3 months ago, like I didn't even have an appetite that day. I'm like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not even hungry? Like, well, I understand now why Buzz says he could lose weight so fast. You just have so much peace, so much calm. And David and I, we've got very stressful lives. We hear a lot of suffering and sorrow, and people traumatized by the deep state going after their kids and kicking them out of their homes that they paid for. I mean, we hear the stories, so we also carry a lot of that heavy burden of stress on us. And so it has really been a blessing to David and I to have the technology. It keeps us from living in that high cortisol constant state. We're just so much more relaxed. People are telling David that he looks 10 years younger. No, that was since I married you. You look 10 years younger. Anyway.
That's what did it.
It'll be a blessing to you. Get off of Big Pharma. It'll bless you in so many ways.
All right, everybody got that? This isn't about selling stuff. It's not about the money. It's not about selling product. This is about changing lives. And that's what I feel the American State National Movement's about. It's about an entire life shift, a paradigm shift. It's about changing lives. It's a different way of thinking. It's thinking as a creditor, not a debtor. You guys all know TransUnion, Equifax, Experian. What are they? Credit reports. Why is it called credit reports and not debit reports? Is it companies you owe money to? No. It's companies that borrowed money from you. Your signature created the funds. You lent it to that credit card company. Now you're paying them a management fee to keep paying it back. They let you use it. You lent it to them with your signature. Your funds created it. See, banks cannot take money out of their shareholders' accounts. And they can't take money out of their customers' accounts. If they can't take money out of their shareholders' accounts, they can't take money out of their customers' accounts, where did they get the money? They get it from your signature on the application. You created the money. You're the signatory officer of the trust. And then they are a Federal Reserve Bank. So they take the money out of your Federal Reserve account, transfer it to the bank, and then they loan it to you. When it was yours in the first place. And then they become the third-party management company. I guarantee when you bought a house and you got a mortgage, a death pledge, that's what a mortgage means. When you got a mortgage, that your signature on the application created the money. And then that $2,000 a month house payment or whatever it is you pay for 30 years is nothing more than a management fee. They took the money out of your own account, bought the house, paid it to an escrow company that closed the transaction, and your signature created the money. Modern Money Mechanics, which is a book put out by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, will tell you that. It'll teach you how money works in this country. It's illegal for that bank to take it out of their shareholders' accounts or their customers' accounts. You created the money. You're the creditor. You are the full faith and credit of the United States government. You got to understand that. We'll talk more in a minute about that. I want to show you something because of this wonderful article that came out in the newspaper locally. You can be 100% a citizen and be protected by your civil rights and privileges. Now, what are civil rights? What are civil rights? They can't discriminate against you for race, religion, sex, status, anything. That's civil rights. Civil rights and privileges, where you can be 100% sovereign and be the king and be protected by your unalienable rights. What does unalienable mean? It means they are unable to place a lien upon them. Unable to place a lien upon them. They're God-given. They're not constitutional rights. You have no such thing as constitutional rights. You have God-given rights codified in the Constitution. You have so many God-given rights that they can't even be numbered and they can't all be written down. What is your foundational cornerstone right? Given to you by God. It is your right of self-determination. Free agency. You got the right to determine your political and social status. Your standing. You have the right to determine that. No one can determine that for you. It's an individual thing. You have the right to do it. We've got to understand how powerful we are as people and how much we can affect change and we can do things. Now, a citizen is a slave class. Slaves can't own property. You don't own any property. You don't own yourself, you don't own your kids, you don't own your car, and you don't own your house. You own nothing. Taken away from you with a declaration of war. Everything. You own nothing. Don't believe me? We'll show you how you don't own anything. This is why, without any due process of law, if the state doesn't like the way you're taking care of your kids, they can step in and show up with a CPS worker and a sheriff without even a warrant and take the kids right out of your arms with no trial, no due process, no right to put on evidence, question witnesses, and they can take your kids because you don't own them anyway. It's called the doctrine of parens patriae. And the doctrine of in loco parentis says you're just the conditional caretaker, the custodian, temporary custodian. And if the state doesn't like the way you mismanage them, well, they can take them away. So you don't own your kids. You don't own yourself. You don't own your vessel, your shipping company. You don't own any of that. You sure don't own your car, not even if you paid it off in full or paid cash for it and you've got a certificate of title. A certificate of title is them just certifying that there's a title out there somewhere. The state owns your vehicle, your car. That's why they make you register it. That's why they make you license it. That's why they tell you how fast it can go. and to put on your turn signals, have brake lights, make sure it's up to smog code or whatever. They tell you you can't talk on your cell phone while you're driving in your car, to wear a seatbelt, to slow down to 30 when you're coming into town. They tell you everything. They control every aspect of your life. Of you driving and operating that motor vehicle because the state owns the vehicle. They have the MCO. I'm going to get Cordy and Tony to come up for a second, talk to you a little bit about what an MCO is. It's a manufacturer's certificate of origin. I used to build and have a manufacturing company that built hydroponic equipment. And we built this hydroponic equipment on trailers. And the Department of Transportation required my company to stamp the frame with a VIN number and to provide a manufacturer's certificate of origin when we sold a trailer. Manufacturer's certificate of origin is on everything: a four-wheeler, a motorcycle, a plane, a piece of hydroponic equipment that can go down the road. Anything has a manufacturer's certificate of origin on it. You can come closer. You doing it, or Tony going to let you do all the work? Where's that mic? Talk about MCOs real quick.
Absolutely. How's everybody doing today? Fantastic. How about that energy in this room? How grateful are we for this man right here, David Straight? He's leading the way, guys. He's blessing everybody in this nation and everybody in this world because people are watching what's happening in Texas right now. And they're watching what's happening here. And we're grateful for him. We love him. This is Tony Budrow, and I'm Cordy Suggs. We're the MCO guys. MCO is the superior title. It's the manufacturer's certificate of origin. What's on the MCO is the information of the automobile, okay? We get a lot of questions about whether or not, they're worried about, well, the car is titled in, in my name, but I want to retitle it in my daughter's name or whatever the case may be. That is not really relevant because the certificate of origin only deals with what the automobile is and where it came from. So it doesn't, when they made that bond, they did not know who it was going to be sold to, okay? So it doesn't have the name of the buyer on it because it was printed before that. The MSO is a subordinate title, okay? It's a lesser title than an MCO. What happens with an MCO, it's got red control numbers on it. It's a bond, okay? Red, what do we know about red that David and Bobby teach is that puts that bond in the jurisdiction of the land of the living, the land of the living. A dead corporation entity known as your de facto corporation government, state of, cannot own something in the land of the living because they're dead, okay? So what happens when you were at the dealership and you bought your automobile at the automobile dealership, words are very important, you paid $250 to donate that automobile to the state of dead corporation. When you did that, it then became a vehicle, a motor vehicle, okay? It put it in the public. And because the dead corporation cannot own something in the land of the jurisdiction of the land of the living with the red control numbers on it, they then take that MCO, they hypothecate it and put it on the bond market, start making money on it. And then they make a very good black and white copy of that MCO. And what is black? That means dead. So now a dead corporation entity can own something that's dead as well. They then destroy that higher form of title known as the actual MCO bond with the red control numbers on it. So it's no longer there. So we've been dealing with this issue for decades. And God has blessed Tony and I with an amazing exclusive contract with our manufacturers that allows us to, I'll let Tony go over a little bit of that.
Well, actually, what it does is allows us to internationally control everything out there, from trucks, vans, motorcycles, you name it. We're able to give you the right back, give you a remedy, so now you can own your stuff, your conveyances. Yeah, God put it in our hands. Kind of the story of how this came to be, I guess, is I got a number from a guy. He says, I haven't talked to this guy for a while. This might be his number. It's like 3 or 4 years. And give him a call, see what he says. And I've been looking. I was trying to get the MCO on my Lexus. I have an older Lexus. And I had no luck anywhere trying to find it. Called the state of Florida, where they said it was registered at originally. Doors just kept on closing and closing. I was telling God, find me a way to get this MCO. I called this guy. He hangs up on me the first time. And I'm a very persistent guy, and I don't like to take no for any answer. And I'm very, very persistent with people that know me. So I call him again the next day. He hangs up on me again. The next day I call him. He hung up on me again. The fourth day I said, listen here, I need 2,500 MCOs today. Can you produce them? He said, let's talk. And that was the gatekeeper to get into the manufacturers.
Yep, God has blessed us with that relationship now and with our manufacturers, and we have an exclusive contract, and they do not deal with the public. They deal with us. And God blessed us with this because he knew that we were going to bless others with it, with that blessing. One of the things I want to make this very clear to everybody, the black and white copies of, see, throughout the time, God is bringing people together, and David has taught certain processes, and we're all doing the best we can to bring the best knowledge and best processes that we have available to us. And we're doing the best we can, and we're learning new things and meeting new people that teach us new things every day. And as we come together in unity, we're all learning from each other, and we're bringing new information and new knowledge to that and making our processes better as a unified we the people. Okay? And what happens is, so a lot of people, what was the process that was being done before was you go and you get that certified copy of the MCO, which is actually considered the MSO, Manufacturer's Statement of Origin at that point. The MSO, the copy of that black and white copy, it can pull the VIN number out of the system. Okay, you have to go about a certain process that David and Bobby and everybody, these guys know and they teach. That can pull the VIN number out of the system. However, that is not the superior title. If you go, and a proof of that is if you tried to export your automobile, okay, you need the MCO, and you only need one MCO with that vehicle, or automobile, which is the manufacturer's certificate of origin. That's what we get you. That is the superior title. If you have that copy of, you might be able to export the automobile if you're lucky. And the only way you can do that is if you have everything's perfect, and even sometimes then you have hangups, but you have to have 3 copies of it. Each of those copies have to be apostilled, which means or authenticated, and they have to be certified as well. Okay, and even then, there's many times hangups as far as exporting that automobile. It's not the superior title. I'm gonna appeal to everybody's common sense real quick and tell it to you like this. If somebody gave you $100 bill and you took and made a very clear black and white copy of that $100 bill, you went and had it apostilled, which means authenticated. Then you took and you got it certified. Then you had all that done, and you took that that apostilled, authenticated and certified copy of that black and white copy. You ran that up to the grocery store. Can you buy groceries with that? No. It's not the superior title because it's not the bond. It's not the $100 bill. What we get you is the original bond. Our manufacturer is certified to print out a brand new and generate a brand new bond with a brand new control number that's tied to your VIN number. They go into the federal database and do all sorts of stuff. This is not something that can be done printed out in your garage, okay? If you think that's possible and you want to go ahead and do that, I hope you get used to looking behind bars for 20 years, okay? But
Other side note, I want to say how the power of this MCO. We had an investor call us and he had problems. He got a hold of our manufacturers and said, hey, give Tony a call. He can help you out. He had 1,000 Mercedes-Benz of all different makes and models that were in the Los Angeles harbor, couldn't get them shipped anywhere. He got a hold of us. We got him 1,000 MCOs, and then they were shipped them to Shanghai, China. So that shows how powerful our document is.
absolutely. Some other questions that we get. So explain, yeah. Trying to think of some other
You have
questions.
something you
We've-
wanted to
Yes,
do
one other thing.
while
Yeah.
you're up here, right?
So this is a great time for us to actually show everyone that we are delivering MCOs. We want to call up a few people up to the stage or the front of the room. I'd like to call up David Straight.
Bonnie, you can come here. Where you at?
You have something for me?
Yes, we do.
Oh, you're so sweet.
We always hook you up.
Oh, you guys are great. I love you.
Bon Bon.
Yeah.
My
Everybody
brother,
give it up for Bon Bon.
my brother used to call me that growing up. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Here's the MCOs. Here's the MCOs for David and Bonnie. David's already had the VIN numbers pulled out, but he wants an original document, a true superior title.
I had an MSO on my truck for years and just carried it around the glove box. Any police officer that had stopped me while I'm in my truck, they couldn't find me in the system, and being a state national, and they couldn't find my truck in the system. So off I go.
So should I tell him a story?
So we asked him to don't make it too long. We got a lot to
You're
cover.
always full of stories.
So I love going and doing estate sale shopping. And in Dallas, they have a lot
She does
of.
this stuff while I'm out of town, by the way.
I know, right? So notoriously, I've bought things out of when Dave's out of town, and I don't know how it works out that way. I went out for ice.
She bought me a tractor one day.
I went out for ice cream. I came home with a tractor. Somebody was selling it in their driveway. I'm like, that's a pretty tractor. Dave's been looking for a tractor. Oh, Dave, here's some pictures of the tractor. Should I buy? He's like, yes. Anyway.
She got a good deal on a good John Deere,
So-
so I'm okay. But
So I went to an estate sale when he was in North Dakota. I was sick, home with a sinus infection, but I had to go to an estate sale because they were selling some really
Just
cool
had
things
to.
like these, those. I was like, I'm going to go see if I can find some cool stuff David might like there. Well, they were selling a pickup. And I've always wanted a cheap pickup that you can just do stuff with and haul things around because we live on a ranch, right? So here's this Chevy Avalanche 2003 with almost 200,000 miles on it, but sweet, smooth ride, clean, pretty, and it's old and it's less than $5,000. So I bought it right then and there. And when Dave got home from the trip, he got mad at me because I went shopping at a estate sale, came home with a pickup. But but it's a cheap pickup. Like it was less than $5,000. And on a ranch, there's always, and you know what's, he gave me a hard time about it, but he's been driving it every day. Like he loves this pickup now. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. So that's what one of the MCOs is for the new pickup we bought. It's a dirt cheap
What's the other
truck,
one,
but
too?
I love it. It's so sweet. It's yours.
What's the other one too?
Your old diesel.
Your old
Oh,
diesel there,
okay.
buddy.
And then the new
Hey,
pickup.
don't call it an old diesel. This is my favorite truck, not this
It's a
one.
great truck.
It is. And our new pickup that we just got at the estate sale.
Okay.
I am so
Hallelujah.
excited. Thank you. This is so great.
Who else you got over there?
The state never is able to touch this truck now. You know, they can't do searches, seizures, taxes. They can't pull you over. It's not in their system. Praise the
All
Lord.
right.
No toll roads either.
No toll roll. Don't have to wear their stickers. Don't have to get it registered. It's a beautiful thing.
Freedom.
No.
Katie,
no tolls.
where are you at, Katie? Where's Katie?
Come on right up.
Katie, come up
Katie,
here,
Katie,
lady. Katie helps you guys out with your affidavit of repudiations and other documents and paperwork. There is a difference. But you guys, that's step one. You guys go to Katie and get that done. Also get your MCO. It's too easy. And you do not have to be a state national to get your MCO, but everybody in here needs to be a state national. Okay. Katie, here's your MCO.
There you are, finally.
You're free on the roads. Speed away.
And we have Republic of Texas plates for you. And Glenn even has a few printed up if you like his. Republic of Texas is different from state of Texas. Do you understand when it says non-commercial, private, non-commercial, Republic of Texas? Yeah. Cops don't know what to do when they see those, but they know better than to mess with you, pull you over. Anyway,
That's right. That's right.
it's a great thing.
Garvin
Don't
Suggs.
put fake plates on your vehicle until you're state national. People ask me all the time on various subjects, can I do that if I'm a citizen? Well, sure you can, but you can't defend it. As a state national, you can. And when you have your MCO, you own the vehicle. You can put anything, darn thing you want on it. The best thing to put on it is a Republic plate. We drive all over with Republic of Texas plates. I've never had a problem because we own the MCOs on the vehicles. Okay?
Yep. Garvin Suggs. Garvin's a state national. He's got all of his freedom bundle recorded, and he's going after his passport next through the Copper Moonshine Steels way, which is what David and everybody do. There's your MCOs. You can travel freely. He's a free man now. He's got an MCO for an RV here, and he's got one for all of his automobiles, his trucks, and
He's crying
All
because
this
he's
stuff.
so happy that he owns his things.
for those of you that don't know, Garvin is my father. So I love him very much. Great man. Gwen. Where's Miss Gwen at?
Come on up.
Come up here, lady.
We do.
We do. There's both your MCOs. There you go. Free lady, free traveler. Gwen was one of the jurors in our common law court here recently. She's Awesome, awesome. We need more young people like her.
She's only 19, right?
I know.
Yeah, Gwen's only 19 years old. She's very mature for her age.
Tony Budrow, come up to the stage.
Do you know how long I've been waiting for this thing? I feel like the mechanic that basically works on everybody else's car. I finally own my Lexus. Hallelujah.
There you go, brother. We've been helping other people before we help ourselves, and that's sadly that's the case with many of us. You know, we make sacrifices to spread and bless this movement and help others, but it's always a blessing when we get one of our things done on our steps to freedom and claiming our minor estate. One thing that I want to say also, that's a requirement. When you claim your minor estate, you have all of your effects have to be yours. Ownership is the wrong word because it's a ship. It puts you in the jurisdiction of the water. But all of your effects have to be yours. You have to have the superior titles for not some of, all of your conveyances. You have to have your superior titles for your land. I mean, that means every trailer that you have, every automobile that you have, every boat that you have, RVs, airplanes, if you're Elon Musk, rocket ship. Okay. And we can get them all for you. So we don't do the land stuff, but we can get them for your conveyances.
I have one other side note real quick. I had a guy do a report on mine. I had 107 QSIPs. And this was 4.5 months ago. And the balance was $3.2 billion in my trust. And now I can claim it because I have superior title right here. Hallelujah.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Cordy Suggs. I got mine.
Before
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
David.
before you guys go, can
Love you,
you
brother.
tell the people online how to participate with you guys?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Rob, for that. Appreciate it. So anybody that's not here, you can go to mcotitles.com. That's plural with an S on the end. mcotitles.com. And normally it's $500 per MCO that you get. But during the seminar, we have seminar incentive pricing that's only available during the seminar, and it's $350 if you pay with credit card. It's $325 if you pay in cash. And last but not least, we always love to take God's money. It's $275 if you pay in silver. And we'll have to figure out what the gold price is. We had a lovely lady that wanted to pay gold earlier, so we'll work that out with her as well. We'll take gold for sure.
That would be 1/10 of an ounce.
1/10 of an ounce. There we go. Awesome. So we'll be glad to take God's money always. So God bless you guys. Let's
Thank you
give it
guys
up
so
for
much.
David Straight. Thanks,
You're welcome.
brother. We love you.
We love you guys. Yay.
Love you too, Bon Bon.
This is such a critical part of what we do. It makes it so much easier when you go to claim your estate, to own your property. If you own your property, when you go claim your estate, it is so easy. I had a husband and wife just recently go in front of a federal probate judge in the circuit court to claim their estate. And they did exactly what I told them to do. And they went in with all their superior titles, including their land patents. They're filed, documented, recorded papers. And they followed the example exactly. And the husband went in first. You got to go in independently. It's an individual thing. And the husband went in first, and he asked for $3 million and $3,000 a month out of his estate. Now, my suggestion is don't do that. Find out more about your estate. Find out what it's worth, what it generates per year. You're not going to take from the equity in it. You can take what it generates. And believe me, like Tony's is over $1 billion estate. It generates a lot. So if you've got an estate of that size and you're not generous with yourself, just like I wasn't when I claimed mine, I'm going to go back and amend mine because I screwed up. I was my own guinea pig for all you guys. I was like the only one I knew that did it. And when I did it, I wasn't very generous with myself. Now I have found a way to kind of fix that a little bit, but I can also go back and amend it. They're amendable. You come up with a business plan. It's called an estate plan. Estate planning, you ever heard of that? And you can, if you know your estate very well, you can design your estate plan accordingly, and you'd be surprised how much more generous you can be, even with the amount that you want to pull out every year to donate to your favorite charity and to help others. I didn't know all that when I started. I had to learn and grow and make mistakes along the way. Now I've learned when they refill my account, I just go pull cash out before they refill it, and then they refill it, and there's some in there. If I've got too much in there, they don't put anything in. See? So I got a monthly account. So it's nice to know how to manipulate it a little bit, but still I could have been a lot more generous. So anyway, I want to go back to this. You can be 100% a citizen and be protected by your civil rights and privileges. That is a slave class. While I'm doing this, I want to answer a question that I was asked at lunch that needs to be answered because a lot of people are screwing up, okay, out here. But you can be 100% sovereign and be a king and be protected by your unalienable rights. But what happens when people start learning this stuff and they know something's been wrong, everybody has that feeling, and they start to learn, and they learn just a little, and then they learn a little bit more, and then they learn a little bit more. You're on this journey to being a king, but you ain't the king yet. You're not the king until you've claimed your minor estate. And everybody knows you got to be a squire before you become a knight, before you become a king. You have to move forward. You've got to grow. You've got to learn. And somewhere you're going to be along this path, this journey. The problem is, when your knowledge base is at 20 or 30%, and you go out and do dumb things, making false claims that you're the king, you're called a sovereign citizen. That's an oxymoron, but it's how they look at you. And here's where you end up on YouTube, and it ain't pretty. Okay? So usually involves police and them holding you down on the ground and putting handcuffs on you, or making a bad video. And you end up on YouTube because you're 10, 20, 30, 40% along the way. And so you take a little bit of information, you go get in trouble with it. Don't do that. Just keep your knowledge growing until you're confident in your job. Until you confident and competent. And competency arrives clear over here. Okay? It is status, standing, and jurisdiction. Status, standing, and jurisdiction is everything in the law. And it's easy to teach status and change your status. Most people don't even know what that is. You can be a citizen. You can be a United States citizen, or you can be a United States national, or you can be a state citizen, or you can be a state national. And a state national is not the same as a United States national. They are not the same thing. Only a state national has limited diplomatic immunity as one of we the people who created government. The states came first. A U.S. national is somebody born in Guam, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands. That's what a U.S. national is. All Hawaiians and Alaskans are born as U.S. nationals. And then they check mark a box, they're a U.S. citizen, and they change their political status. Just as if they were born in Guam, Virgin Islands, or Puerto Rico, or another U.S. territory. They're U.S. nationals first. In the other states, you're a state national first. Now, why is that? It's because Alaska and Hawaii became states after the United Nations Treaty. So they're part of the United Nations. They're not grandfathered in. Remember first in law, right? The state nationals are grandfathered in. And they're recognized. They're recognized in the Geneva Conventions with limited diplomatic immunity as a people, one of we the people, or as President Trump calls, the people. Now you can be a people or you can be a person. He talked about his own kids. He said Ivanka and Don Jr. are good persons, but Eric's a good people. He was telling you their political status right when he said it. First Amendment rights are indeed fundamental, for we the people are sovereign, not those who sit in the seats of the mighty. That's a court case called Broderick versus State of Oklahoma, 1973 case. Justice Douglas of the Supreme Court of the United States dissented that in the Supreme Court. Sovereigns are equal. It is the duty of a sovereign not to submit his rights to the decision of a co-sovereign. It's truly yours and yours alone. You are the kings and the queens. He is the sole arbitrator of his own rights. He acknowledges no superior but God alone. To his equals, he shows respect, but not submission. That's a court case called the Schooner Exchange versus McFadden. Sovereignty itself is, of course, not subject to law, for it is the author and the source of the law. But in our system, while sovereign powers are delegated to the agencies of government, sovereignty itself remains with the people, by whom and for whom all government exists and acts. That is Downs versus Bidwell, Chief Justice Fuller of the Supreme Court of the United States. Judge Harlan, Brewer, and Peckham concurred. We acknowledge that the immunity of a truly independent sovereign from suit in his own courts has been enjoyed as a matter of absolute right for centuries. Only the sovereign's own consent could qualify the absolute character of that immunity. That the notion that immunity from suit is an attribute of sovereignty is reflected in our cases at law, and that this explanation adequately supports the conclusion that no sovereign may be sued in his own courts without his consent. That's Alden versus Maine, with Justice Kennedy of the Supreme Court of the United States confirming. Chief Justice Jay took a little bit less vehement tone in his opinion. He denied the applicable of the doctrine of sovereignty immunity to the states. He explained the doctrine as an incident of European feudalism and said that by contrast, that no such ideas obtained here at the revolution, the sovereignty developed on the people, and that they are truly the sovereigns of the country, but they are sovereigns without subjects and have none to govern but themselves. The citizens of America are equal as fellow citizens, as joint tenants in common, but the sovereign is supreme. Pretty powerful. Those are some Supreme Court cases that we pulled, just to give you an idea. The United States government's Dun & Bradstreet number is 0527 14196. Don't use that now, because that is pre-bankruptcy. Bankruptcy already happened. President Trump bankrupted the United States Corporation, wrote a new Declaration of Independence, and submitted it to all the governors of every state and to Congress. And he did that July 4th of 2020. And a new corporation was formed as soon as he left the office. I want to explain this to you a little bit. Every president of the United States has had a choice when he takes office to hold 3 positions. One is the commander-in-chief of the military. He's sworn in as commander-in-chief, and that's an oath that he takes. And it's under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. He takes a second oath to the presidency and CEO of the corporation. And if he chooses, he can take an oath to the United States of America as president. That's 3 separate job descriptions. There's only been 19 presidents that have taken an oath to the United States of America. 46 now have taken an oath as CEO of the United States Corporation, whatever the name of that might be. Right now it's the White House Office, Inc. And all of them, all 46, took an oath to be the commander-in-chief. Now, in saying that, that's 3 different jobs. Every speech President Trump gave, you could tell what job he was holding when he spoke to you. You could tell he would either put on a military hat or jacket when he was acting as commander-in-chief, and he was speaking to the public as the commander-in-chief. When he was speaking as the president of the United States Corporation, he had the gold fringe flags behind him. And when he was speaking as the president of the United States of America, that de jure government that lives within inside each and every one of us, he had the flags flying behind him without the fringe. And that's how you knew what job he was, what role he was in at the time. Okay? President Biden has never spoke in front of unfringed flags. So let's talk about the fringe for just a second. 20 plus years ago, I built a PowerPoint presentation on the flags, and I talked about the flags. And a gold fringe around the flag is what? What's its meaning? It's a captured flag. Boy, you say that in a class and nobody knew what it meant. I'm glad to hear it, you guys. Thank you. A captured flag. The Flag Code in Title IV of the United States Code calls the gold fringe flag an abomination. Pirates, when they used to capture another pirate ship, they would pull the flag down off that captured ship, and they'd sew a fringe around it, and they'd put it up their flagpole right underneath theirs. And sometimes they'd have 10 flags on the flagpole of the ships that showing off the ships they'd captured. What does the Bar Association fly in the courtroom? The captured flag. Because the British Accreditation Registry has captured the United States. And they show it. And the corporation, Babylon, it always flies the gold fringe flag. Who's from California here? See, I love the California flag. It's one of the few flags that actually says California Republic on it. Yet, what flies in Sacramento in front of the Capitol building? The California Republic flag with the gold fringe around it, showing they captured it. The state of California captured California. Well, the state of Texas has captured Texas too. And they captured it from the Republic. The difference is the Republic won in court. That it always exists. They took it all the way to The Hague. Yeah. Men like Glenn Fern over there helped a lot on that. And the Republic of Texas is recognized by the state of Texas as a republic that exists side by side. And here's what happens, guys. When the republic stands up, the state of must stand down, and that's the law. When the republic stood down after the Civil War, not enough men came back from the Civil War with enough money to run the state of Texas, to run Texas. The state of, under the Reconstruction Act, stood up to take over. The corporation took over when we stood down. It's time for us to stand back up, and the state of will step down, and they must. It's the law. And I got news for you. Every other state in the union can follow Texas's example and restore their republic too. Every one of them. And they're doing it. They're doing it. When we, the people, stand up, they will stand down. And there's over 10 million of us standing up right now. It's really more than that, because there's a lot of them that I call kneeling. They're not laying flat on the floor. They're not quite standing up. They're kneeling, hoping and praying, I think, that enough people will stand. But there's 50 million people following what we do. 10 million have done all their paperwork. A small percentage have claimed their minor estate. Right now we have a whole bunch of squires and knights. These are the guys kneeling. Whole bunch of them. They're just kneeling and praying and hoping everybody else will get everything done and get all their paperwork done, and then stuff will happen for them. Well, I got news for you. It is the standing that's saving the country. It's the ones getting their paperwork filed that's saving the country. Let me tell you how important that is. Talked to the Postmaster General in Washington, D.C. He says they had to put shipping containers in the parking lots for all the registered mail they're getting. And they have to hire guards. They've got to hire guards to protect it, because registered mail is chain of custody evidence through the U.S. Post Office, not the U.S. Postal Service. There's two or more of everything, guys. All right? Registered as post office, certified as postal service. That's why they want you to do certified. Okay? Registered mail is chain of custody evidence. The envelopes are sealed. They're stamped at every seam. They're signed for. They're secured. They're put in a bag that is locked. They're put in a box that is locked. And anyone who touches it along the way has to sign for it, all along the way, until it's received where it's supposed to go. That's chain of custody evidence. A law enforcement officer in the field, like an FBI agent in the field, when he gathers evidence and he doesn't want to drive it to wherever he's got to deliver it and sign an affidavit that it never left his site to preserve evidence, well, he can register mail it and have it sent to the home office to the right person, because it's signed for all along the way. The chain of custody is not broken. See? And you can request that chain of custody evidence from the post office. The state of Texas, Dun & Bradstreet number 6022-54468. Remember, what is Dun & Bradstreet? It's a credit bureau for corporations. If they've got a Dun & Bradstreet number, they're a corporation. So if the United States government's a corporation, and the state of Texas is a corporation, and the county of's a corporation, the city of's a corporation, and right down to the dog catcher is a corporation, so is the court, so is the courthouse. I did a case in Utah. We decided to look up who owns the First District Court of Cache County, Utah. And it was one man whose corporate offices weren't even in the county. They were in Ogden. And he owned 7 courthouses, just like you would 7 McDonald's franchises. Your county courthouse is a corporation. Bill Clinton said everything was for sale, and he wasn't kidding. Everything is a corporation. Now, if they're a corporation, there's a court case that says, since governments have chosen to incorporate themselves, they must follow the same rules as every other corporation. If they've got to follow the same rules as any other corporation, then they're the same as what? McDonald's, Burger King. What kind of corporation are they? A governmental services corporation. In order to do business with a corporation, you have to be under what? Contract. you're a private company and you want to do business with the United States government, you got to sign a contract. Defense contract, doesn't matter. An intelligence contract. You got to sign contracts along with their non-disclosure agreements that come with them. See? So in order for the county to do business with you, they've got to be under contract. They got to get your consent. They're supposed to give you full disclosure. No, they don't. Let me tell you how governments operate. See, I'm here to piss you off. I'm going to tell you exactly how they operate. I'm going to tell you how they operate in civil, and I'm going to tell you how they operate in criminal. Civil and criminal. A police officer, a CPS worker, an agent of government of any kind, they go out and a dog catcher, and they create a cause of action. A cause. They take you out of it, and it becomes a case. You can have a cause against a man, but you can't have a cause against a corporation. They have to take the man out of it, and it becomes a case. Now it's a case number. Okay? A case number is assigned a CUSIP number. A CUSIP number is an investment control number regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's an investment control number. It's bonded, registered, and insured. Here's mine, one of them. It's called a birth certificate. It's got a bank name right here, Great Northern Trust Bank, on bond paper with a CUSIP number, an investment control number, because my mother, 9 months pregnant, walked into a foundling hospital. The legal definition of the word foundling is a safe place to abandon a child. That's the legal definition of foundling. A safe place to abandon a child. One of the first acts of Congress that they had to pass was the Child Act. And it designated all hospitals, churches, fire stations, and police stations as foundling in the United States. And you can take a baby in a basket and walk into any one of those four places, set it down on the middle of the floor, smile and wave and walk out with no consequences to yourself whatsoever. A safe place to abandon a child. My mother, 9 months pregnant, walks into a foundling hospital, into a birthing ward, where she became a ward of the state. She went through a major medical procedure called childbirth, where she was in pain and under duress, probably under the influence of some kind of painkiller. And the baby came out of the water, was tugged through the birth canal, was docked at the dock by the dock tender, a doctor, that's a dock tender, where a bill of lading was received, the birth certificate application. She signed off as an informant. The legal definition of an informant is someone who gives someone else up to another, thereby giving title and equity of the child to the state, where it's registered, given a flag, a vessel is created, a trust is created, a security is created, and an insurance policy is created. Now, I don't know about you. Any insurance people in the room? Couple? Okay. You have to have an insurance license to sell insurance? Where was the insurance agent in the room? How about security people? Securities license. I know there's one because one came up and talked to me earlier. There he is. Securities license. You have to have a securities license to sell an investment, right? Usually you got to give them a prospectus and wait 3 days before you can even sell a investment. Where was the securities license agent in the room when the security was created? Where was the attorney in the room to explain the conditions of the contract, of the birth certificate application, informing my mother what signing off as an informant meant? Where were they? How about an attorney who was a trust attorney to explain the trust that was created by the Cesta QV? Oh, that's interesting. Cesta QV Trust first started in England in 1666. We brought it to America in 1933. Any numerologists out there? You'll have fun with that. What 1933 compares to 1660? Yeah, okay. Anyway, what does the word Cesta QV mean in Latin? Latin converted to English. How about this killed that life? See, they took the baby's soul prints, the soul plate, the footprints. That's symbolism for taking its soul. They pinched off the umbilical cord, they cut it really quick, and left 1/3 of the baby's blood in the placenta and took the placenta. That's symbolism for taking the baby's blood. Where a trust was created, forming the doctrines of parens patriae, where the state is the parent, because the mother gave them away to the state in a birthing ward in a foundling hospital. Now, how many mothers in the room who have had kids? Did you know that? Would you have voluntarily just done that and given up your kids if you knew the legal? See, I'm pissing off all the moms right now. That's good. It's our mama grizzly bears that are really standing up in this country. And I love you all for that. You guys are standing. So this is what happens, and you're bonded and you're assured.
So if you had someone that had a birth certificate that was in still small letters and only had one single date on it, they'd never been registered?
Who's never been registered? I guarantee at some point in your life, you've done something where they have created a corporation and a trust, because that's how they get paid. So let me go back to this really quick. The officer creates a cause of action, which creates a case number. The case number creates a CUSIP. The CUSIP is attached to a bond. The bond is sold through their ISIN number, their International Security Identification Number. We call it their ISIN number. Out the back door of the courthouse at 5:30 to a broker who shows up, usually from Bear Stearns. And all the cases for the day at the bank. A court is a bank. All courts are banks. All judges are bankers. Look it up in a legal dictionary. You look up the word court, it says C bank, C post office. You go back to the old court buildings in the east, and they'll etched right in the marble. It says courthouse, bank, post office, because that's the way Benjamin Franklin set up our country and set up the postal service. All judges, look it up, it says C banker, C postmaster. That's right. So they create an officer creates a cause of action. The cause of action creates a case. The case is assigned to CUSIP. The CUSIP is attached to a bond. And then it's sold out the back door of the courthouse, back doors of the hospital, under their International Securities Identification license to Wall Street. And the bond market is the major source of economy in the world. The stock market, when the Dow Jones Industrial Average is at 30,000, that represents about $1 trillion for every 1,000 points on the stock market. 1 trillion per 1,000. That means the top 100 companies in the Dow Jones Industrial Average, when it's at 30,000, is worth about $30 trillion. That's what those companies are worth. The bond market is 10,000 times larger than the stock market. That ought to give you an example. So where do we find these bonds, and how do we do it, and how do we look it up? Oh, I went through my book and I screwed it all up the other day. There it is. We can go to a broker, pay him to find a CUSIP on any court case. Any court case. I'm just going to pull off a few. This is a county court case. It's court case number 15701-21. The CUSIP number is 693390551. It was invested into the PIMCO Total Return to INSTI fund. The ticker symbol is PMBIX. The inception date was 12/30/91. And as of 2/15/2022, it had net assets of $618,664,000. Now, PIMCO is a company that holds and owns one of our United States' largest prison systems. They're all private prisons. So the court is creating a bond through a broker who's investing it into the prison fund on the bond market. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that's a little bit of a conflict of interest and an incentive for the judge who's investing in the prison to also keep the beds full. So the prison does better, so the bonds do better, so the corporation does better. Here's a federal case, 2-2:20-CV, so it's civil, 00625. It's invested in TCM Small Gap Growth Fund, CUSIP number 742935455, and it has $478,366,000 in it as of February the 5th of 2022, when we pulled this. Here's another court case invested in the PIMCO High Yield Municipal Bond Fund, another PIMCO fund. CUSIP number 72201F672. The assets are $2,801,299,000. Here's another federal case. It's invested in the PIMCO Real Return Fund. They seem to like prison bond funds. It's a federal case, a civil case, 01223. CUSIP number 6933911146. It's got measly little 12,146,610,000 in it. Here's another federal case. It's criminal this time. 00055 RLV-DCK-3. It's invested in the Northern Ultra Short Fixed Income Fund under CUSIP number 665162467. It's got 3,660,390,000 in it as of 3/30/2021 when we pulled it. Here's another county case, 60934N856 is a CUSIP. It's invested in the Federated Hermes Government Obligations Tax Managed Fund. That tells you a little something. $6,827,252,000. There's $4,511,906,000 in that one. That's a county case. It's invested in the JP Morgan Investor Growth Fund. Here's another one going into the PIMCO High Yield Fund. There's $10,130,533,000 in this fund. Here's one, Virtus Alliance Short Duration High Income Fund. This is a criminal 1996 case. CUSIP number 01882G634, $844,968,000. We can go on, and we pull these every day. Lots of them. I just keep a handful in my book to show you. All of these bond funds are reported on the CAFR, the Certified Annual Financial Reports. Now, what is that? That's the double set of books the bookie keeps. 3,144 counties in the United States, 3,039 of them are corporations. And those corporated counties keep two sets of books. And the biggest criminal is the county treasurer. Because in each county, which is a corporation, each county corporation has about 240 to 250 subsidiary corporations underneath it, right down to the dog catcher, including the county courthouse, the sheriff's department, on and on and on. All these corporations. How many people in here are businessmen, own their own corporation? Who owns more than one corporation? Owning more than one corporation, what would happen to you if you commingled funds between your corporations? That's right, you go to jail. He did that really well. You go to jail. Your county treasurer is commingling funds amongst over 250 separate, private, for-profit corporations acting and pretending to be government under the color law as governmental services corporations. And she's commingling, he or she is commingling funds. Right down to the dog catcher. I'm showing you exactly how they get paid. I've been stopped by a police officer. I said, you know how you get paid? He goes, I don't know, I think property taxes. I laughed. Knowing what I know, I just laughed at him. I said, no, let me show you. You got one of those little ticket books with you? I says, see that number at the top? That's a cause of action number. That cause of action creates what? A case number. That case number creates a CUSIP that's attached to a bond sold on the ISIN number out the back door of the courthouse, and reported on the CAFR funds into the bond market on Wall Street. And the bond market on Wall Street is 10,000 times larger than the stock market. And this is why the city of Bend Parks and Recreation has a $65 million budget when there's only 100,000 people in town. And the whole county of Deschutes County, Oregon, that I came from, only had 250,000 people in the entire county. And the Parks and Rec had a $65 million budget. The Bend Police Department had a $140 million budget. The Deschutes County Sheriff's Department had a $260 million budget. And you start adding them all up right down to the dog catcher, and then divide that by the 250,000 men, women, and children that live in the county, and it came out to more than 50,000 apiece. Now you're trying to tell me they get paid by taxes? Do you and every member of your family each pay 50,000 apiece in taxes? No. See, the numbers just don't add up. So I went to work trying to find out why and where are they getting the money. CAFR reports. And you just follow it backwards until you figure it out. And then one day I was in a seminar just like this, and I had a man who was security licensed from Bear Stearns. And he came up and he says, I'm the guy that goes to the courthouse at 5:30 every evening. And I'm the one that picks up all of the bonds that they create. And I take them to my office the next day and I sell them on Wall Street. And I said, I knew I'd run into one of you guys sometime. And I did. And he's the one. And I said, how do they get away with it? Are they committing securities fraud? Because I've talked to the SEC and I can't find a securities license. He goes, you're not going to find one. There can't be a securities license through our government, through our SEC, because they're foreign actors and foreign agents. They're registered internationally through the ISIN. So I started looking up judges' names and court names and court administrators. We'll find out who your court administrator is. Your county treasurer, your county recorder are all ISIN licensed. And I went, holy crap. I unlocked the key to winning every stinking time. Because when you know how they get paid and you call them out for their fraud of being a private for-profit corporation and acting and pretending to be government, and you know how they get paid, well, you're going to win. Because not only do they not want this information out, but now you have the key to get paid. You go after their bonds. It's your money. It took your signature on a ticket or on a court case or signing a plea deal to create that bond. That money's yours. It's to be put in your trust. And you know what you do with it? You walk away from it and abandon your property. And then through the abandonment clauses, they get to keep it. And all this time, raise your hand, who's had a court case in here? Who has one that's more than 10 years old? Right? They've been making money off you the whole time, and you walked away and abandoned your court case and didn't claim the securities in your case. You got to put in a claim. That's how we win. We put in a claim for the securities and the bonds. We make the judges provide their business license.
Is there any limitations on the criminal cases like involuntary vehicular manslaughter or anything like that?
Like, if there's an injured party, it's a little bit different. I haven't got into the criminal side yet. I'm just in the civil side. This is all the civil side right here. Okay? It's all civil. This is how they get paid. I need you guys to remember this. You say it over and over. An officer or agent of government creates a cause. They take you out of it, and it makes a case. You got to take the man out of it as surety. They hold the man as surety. Take the man out of it as a case. The case creates a CUSIP. The CUSIP creates a bond, or is attached to a bond. The bond is sold under your ISIN number and is held in the CAFR funds. Understand that real well. And next time you go into court with a judge, you can say, I understand, Your Honor, that you're merely a foreign agent acting and pretending to be government under the color of law, that you're working for a private for-profit corporation as a foreign agent. You're supposed to register with FARA. I need to see your oath of office, your bond, your Foreign Agents Registration Act notice. I need to see your business license and your corporate charter. And I know how you get paid. That you have your minions, the officers, create a cause of action for you. They don't know what they're doing. Those guys, they just don't know. Everybody's got blinders on. You're going after them now. They create a cause of action. That cause of action creates a case number. That case number creates a CUSIP, which is attached to a bond, and that bond is reported in the CAFR funds and is sold on Wall Street through your ISIN number on the bond market, and that's how you profit. And I'm here to claim the securities in the case, since you're being a bad fiduciary of my trust and I'm the beneficiary. All government agents must be the trustee for the benefit of the people. You didn't just record that? I think we did. You put that in your documents and claim it. And watch these cases start melting away. When you know who you are and you know who they are and you know how they get paid, then what matters the details of the facts in the case? Nothing else matters because they lost jurisdiction of everything. You called them out for their fraud and you're claiming the securities. Yeah. Tell them to step down. Well, they're committing capital felony treason, Your Honor. I suggest you step down. And we're somewhere right around 4,000 judges we've removed. It's not bad. Our Missouri people don't know it, but in Rodney Brown's case, 5 judges have stepped down so far. You guys know that? You're on your 6th judge. In all the years of studying that I did, one of the best things I ever found that really say in just a few paragraphs what I've just been talking about as far as the birth certificate, that bond that's created, was from Colonel Edward Mandell House. Does anyone know who he is? Does everybody know who he is? Colonel Edward Mandell House was a Texan. He never served one day in government. He was an oilman. And he had the ear of the bankers, and he had the ear of President Woodrow Wilson. And in a meeting with President Wilson in the Oval Office, he had this to say. I'm going to read it to you real quick. Very soon, every American will be required to register their biological property. Understand, that's you and your children, right? In a national system designed to keep track of the people that will operate under the ancient system of pledging. How many of us in school every day looked at the war flag and pledged our allegiance to it? How many of us knew who wrote it? Who ordered him to write it? What he was? What he did for a living? You don't know? Francis Bellamy wrote the Pledge of Allegiance. It's a little bit different than the way it is now. It was under God was put in it in 1954. But clear back in the 1800s, Francis Bellamy wrote the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Who was he? He was head of the Communist Party of America, a teacher, school teacher, head of the Communist Party, hired by the government to write the Pledge of Allegiance because they didn't like the one someone else wrote and submitted. And thank you, baby. And in our early years, if you could find pre-1905 grade school textbooks, you will see pictures of our children when they first started pledging allegiance to the flag, standing in their classroom doing this. I love patriots, but I got pretty pissed when I found out all this history. And as a patriot from a proud patriotic family, I did not know what I was being patriotic to. I did not know what oath I took. None of our boys and women in our military know. They don't know what they went to war for. I used to speak in VFW halls and Band of Brothers meetings all across the country to veterans. And I'd ask all the World War II veterans in the room if they ever had PTSD. And they all said, no, we didn't even know anything about that. I said, did any of the people that came back with you have PTSD? And most of them said no. And you start with the Korean vets, the Vietnam vets, and on and on and on, and see if they've got PTSD. Some of them, their wives can't even live with them anymore. They're bad. They've got it bad. My son came back bad. He served 4 tours. Was shot at a lot. Won 2 medals from Obama. Even that part he doesn't like. But he didn't know what he was going to war for or why. And ever since we became a UN country, and let's talk about that, how many people believe we won World War II? See, none of you raise your hands anymore, hardly at all. Very few. Don't blame you one way or the other. It doesn't matter. Everybody used to raise their hand 20 years ago. Everybody raised their hands. I used to say that 20 years ago in a class like this, and everybody's hand went up real fast. They believed we won World War II. We dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And Japan surrendered. Was Japan the only nation we were at war with? It was a world war. All of our allies and all of our enemies were United Nations nations. We weren't in 1941. And on December 7th of 1941, Japan, having drawn the short straw, attacked Pearl Harbor. Japan didn't want to attack us. Every one of their generals wrote a letter prior to Pearl Harbor saying it would be a suicide to attack America. We don't want to do it. One of them said there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. Another one said it'd be a suicide mission. They named their pilots kamikaze pilots because they knew it was going to be suicide. To attack America is total destruction and annihilation. We could have wiped them out easily. I want you to understand that. 4 years later, on September 7th, 1945, we signed the United Nations Treaty, which took effect 90 days later on December 7th, 1945, on exactly the 4-year anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And that's what ended the war. And the United Nations says it's over with. We got what we wanted. We brought America into the UN. And we became a United Nations. And what did we give up for that? Do you know New York City in code, federal code, its definition is the United Nations? New York City, we gave Manhattan Island. Rudy, when he was up there as mayor, they wanted him to go after all the people on Manhattan that have unpaid traffic tickets and do something about it. And he says, I can't do anything about that. I'm just the mayor of New York. He was telling you, that's the UN. Now we have Chinese police forces in their own building in New York. Communist China has opened a police department in New York City. In Salt Lake City, we've got a UN building now. We've got an inland port. An inland port. What does that mean? That means they can drop it off on the coast, ship it all the way to Salt Lake City before it goes through customs. Well, what if they ship us a nuclear bomb? That's right, almost every state. You know what Salt Lake County did? They got rid of their sheriff's department, and now they're under the unified police. Do you know what the state of Connecticut just did? Got rid of all their sheriff's department in all their counties in Connecticut, and they're all under the unified police. I don't know about you, but that pisses me off. That pisses me off. I've got scars on my body, places I've bled for this nation. And I can't stand it. I want you to know that. It's really hard. In a national system designed to keep track of the people that will operate under the ancient system of pledging, and by such methodology, we can compel people to submit to our agenda, which will affect our security as a chargeback for our fiat paper currency. Every American will be forced to register or suffer being able to work and earn a living. They will be our chattel, our property, and we will hold the security interests over them forever. By operation of the law merchant under the scheme of secured transactions, Americans, by unknowingly or unwittingly delivering the bills of lading, the birth certificates, to us, will be rendered bankrupt and insolvent, secured by their pledges, their oaths. They will be stripped of their rights and given a commercial value designed to make us a profit, and they will be none the wiser. For not one man in a million could ever figure out their plans, and if by accident one or two should, we have in our arsenal plausible deniability. After all, this is the only logical way to fund government, by floating liens and debts to the registrants in the form of benefits and privileges. This will inevitably reap us huge profits beyond our wildest expectations and leave every American a contributor to this fraud that we will call social insurance. Without realizing it, every American will unknowingly be our servant, however begrudgingly. The people will become helpless and without any hope for their redemption, and we will employ the high office of the president of our dummy corporation to foment this plot against America. I don't think I've ever read something that says it so clear. This was in a meeting with President Woodrow Wilson in the Oval Office between Woodrow Wilson and Edward Mandell House. I don't know if you know this, but everything that goes on in the Oval Office is recorded. And it goes to a special department to see whether it is classified or not. And they're classified for a certain number of years, usually 20, 40, 60, or more years. And then once that period of time is over, they're unclassified. And that's what happened with this document. Huh? Yeah, except for Clinton's documents. Now they want to hide all the evidence in Seth Rich's trial. That just happened last week. Yeah, the FBI asked, 68-year moratorium on the evidence. What? Clintons ain't living that long. Yep, they are. Oh, forgot to flip this over. Here's one of the best court cases I ever found that says something so plain you can't mistake it. Wheeling Steel Corporation versus Fox. Therefore, the U.S. citizens are citizens of the District of Columbia, residing in one of the states of the Union, and are classified as property and franchises of the federal government as an individual entity. In IRS Taxpayer Identification Number Form Part 1, an American by birth is a protected individual per the U.S. Department of Justice. In 8 U.S.C. 12, Section 2, Section 8, Section 1324, that's hard to say all those things. It also says an American by birth is a protected individual. The International Covenant on Civil Liberties and Political Rights, Part 1, Article 1, Number 1, says all peoples have the right of self-determination. All peoples. Doesn't say all persons. In statute, they're always about the person. It says all peoples have the right of self-determination, and by virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. And states who are party to this covenant, including those having responsibility for the administration of those non-self-governing people. Who are they talking about there? See, state nationals are self-governing. The non-self-governing people are the citizens, who are people who have not changed their status from a U.S. property to a living man, shall promote the realization of the right of self-determination and shall respect that right in conformity with the provisions of the Charter of the United Nations. In 8 U.S. Code 1408, nationals, but not citizens of the United States at birth. In 8 U.S. Code Section 1481, loss of nationality by native-born or naturalized citizens by voluntary action, showing their burden of proof or their presumptions. And also, it says C 28/1746, unsworn declarations under penalty of perjury if executed without the United States. That should be at the bottom of a lot of your legal documents, by the way. It says, I, your name, family of, under penalty of perjury under the laws of the United States of America, declare that the foregoing is true and correct. The Montevideo Convention of December 26, 1933, in Article 9 states that nationals are foreigners to the United States and are under the protection of the law and the national authorities, but cannot claim any rights more extensive than that of the state nationals. And Article 11 states in part, the contracting states, as a rule of their conduct, not to recognize territorial acquisitions or special advantages which may have been obtained by force, whether this consists in the employment of arms and threatening diplomatic representations or in any other effective coercive measures. In 18 U.S.C. Section 112, protection of foreign officials, official guests, and internationally protected persons. Whoever assaults, strikes, wounds, imprisons, or offers violence to a foreign official, official guest, or internationally protected person, or makes any other violent attack upon the person or liberty of such person, or likely to endanger the person or liberty, makes a violent attack upon his official premises and private accommodations, or any means of transport, or attempts to commit any of the foregoing, shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 3 years or both. Whoever in the commission of any such act uses a deadly or dangerous weapon or inflicts bodily injury shall be fined under this title or imprisoned for not more than 10 years or both. Section 112 of Title 18. It goes on in Section C, for the purpose of this section, foreign governments or foreign officials, internationally protected persons, international organizations, or nationals of the United States shall have the same meaning as those provided in Section 1116B of this title. Nothing contained in this section shall be construed or applied so as to abridge the exercise of rights guaranteed under the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Pretty interesting. To be sui juris is one who has all the rights to which a free man is entitled. One who is not under the power of another as a slave or a minor or the like. To make a valid contract, a person must, in general, be sui juris, be in his propria persona. The legal term in propria persona is a Latin phrase that translates to mean in his or her own person. In the field of law, it means that a person is representing himself in a suit and is therefore giving the court jurisdiction of a limited nature. What's that? Sui juris is S-U-I-J-U-R-I-S. Status, standing, and jurisdiction. I say that over and over again. That's everything in the law. Most people pick one status, a U.S. citizen. Status means different things. Status you can correct easy. Jurisdiction. Why did I write it like that? Because the word juris means right law, and diction means words. You look words up in a dictionary, right? Jurisdiction means right law words. The words you use determines the right law under which you stand. Which is it? Let me give you an example. Jurisdiction of the water. As a person, as a U.S. citizen, having a driver's license, I can operate a motor vehicle upon the roadways with my license as my papers and my protection, and I am legal. That's sentence number one. In this jurisdiction, as a people, as a state national, I can travel freely upon the roadways with nothing more than my passport as my papers and my protection, and I am lawful. They both mean going down the road in a car. But I use totally different words in one sentence than I did another. That's how important words are. The words I used determined the right law under which I stood at the time. The problem in America today is we're not taught the English language. And police officers sure the hell don't understand it. And I wish they did. But they don't understand English. And neither do we. We've digressed a lot since Charles Lamb. I want you to know the words are everything in law. Most of the time, an attorney will misuse the word jurisdiction on purpose to confuse the public. He will say it's in the city's jurisdiction, or the counties, or the states, or the federal governments, or this agency's, or that agency's jurisdiction. What he meant to say was venue. It's in the city's venue, the county's venue, the state's venue. And he misused the word. And the Bar Associations got very good at redefining words and misusing words to destroy you. And if you don't know the words and you don't correct them, because government not only operates through the consent of the governed, but they operate through the unrebuttal of presumption. The unrebuttal of presumption. Oh.
Ownership, leadership,
Oh, I hate those terms. but
Yeah.
I end up saying them all the time.
Membership, scholarship, fellowship. They're all bullshit. It's of the water.
Yep.
And the reason, one of the reasons I discovered that they use the word jurisdiction is because they only want to admit to one jurisdiction of the water. So everything is jurisdiction to them, their jurisdiction.
That's right.
They don't want to cede the air or the land.
No, it scares them a little bit, but I had an opportunity. It was one of the best days of my life, really. It was a Saturday. I got 4 hours on a Saturday to go speak at a group of young attorneys who have graduated from the best law schools in the country, who are about to go to work at the Department of Justice. Yeah, they were Harvard graduates and Yale graduates and Georgetown graduates and Lewis and Clark graduates. Top law schools in the country. Stanford had graduates from Stanford there. There's a room full of about 60 young attorneys. And I got to speak, and I got to teach them about Genesis and land, air, and water, taking dominion. And when that was all over, I had this young man come up to me, and he said, "David, can I tell you my story?" And I said, "Sure." And there was a whole group of people hanging around the front of the class. And he said, "David, I just wanted to tell you that I just graduated with honors from Georgetown. But I wanted to tell you I'm the grandson of a judge, and I'm the son of a judge. And my father was also a professor of law at Georgetown University. He's dead now." And I told him I'm sorry. And he says, "When I was 16 years old, I got to witness one of my dad's Saturday classes." And I go, "Well, that's interesting. They hold Saturday classes at Georgetown?" And he says, "Yeah, that's the day that my father taught all the judges and attorneys and law enforcement out in the communities. That's the day they don't work. They come in to learn." And I thought, well, that's kind of cool, you know? It's the day he teaches the other judges. And he said, "David, I really liked your land, air, and water and your 3 separate jurisdictions, which are all true." He says, "But I want to tell you it a little bit different way." He said, "All judges," so I watched my father tell him this in class. He says, "All judges wear 3 hats." And I said, "What?" He says, "Yeah, they all wear 3 hats." He says, "The very first sign a man sees when he walks into a courtroom is usually a sign that says, 'You're Honorable Bob Smith,' or whatever the judge's name is." And I said, "That's right." He says, "Well, you can't have honor without trust, and you can't have trust without honor." He says, so the first hat that judge puts on when he walks into that courtroom and the bailiff says, "All rise for the Honorable Bob Smith," is his "Your Honor" hat. And when he's in that job position, he's administering the trust. And I said, oh my gosh, all courtrooms administer trusts. I've seen it, but I didn't put it together this way. It was like this shining moment that dawned on this marbled head of mine. And he says, the judge is the executor. The person bringing the case, the prosecution, is always the beneficiary. And he makes the man the trustee, because a beneficiary always brings a case against a trustee for mismanaging the trust. And if the beneficiary is going to bring a case against the trustee is always guilty. Because if he was a good trustee, the beneficiary wouldn't have any problems. I says, crud, that's what they're doing. And The judge administers, as an administrative judge, that jurisdiction of the air that fast. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, if the man doesn't walk in with his express trust in hand, there's only two types of trust. One that's express, that means it's written, and one that's implied, that means unwritten. If he doesn't walk in with his express trust in hand, then the judge implies a trust. And then the man's always guilty because he's a trustee. And the beneficiary always brings a case against the trustee. So the judge is the executor and administers the trust, and the man's guilty because he didn't walk in with his express trust in hand. Now, if you have an express trust, it's already written. It already tells who the executor is, who the trustee is, and who the beneficiary is, and it ain't the judge, and it ain't the prosecutor. So if they still administer the trust, they're acting as executor de torts, or false executors. See? So the judge can administer that fast, just seeing if the man has his trust in his hand. And then he takes that job hat off and he puts on the judge hat. And when he's got the judge hat on, he's looking for one or two things. If it's civil, okay, we can handle it. If it's criminal, we're going to trial. So he puts it off for another day. But if it's civil, and all crimes are commerce, so they're almost all civil, right? If it's civil, then he adjudicates the jurisdiction of the land. That's his next job and his next jurisdiction. He's acting as judge. Judges are on the land. And he's looking to see if the man walked in with his superior titles in hand. Does he own himself? Is he competent? Does he know his status? Does he own things? If it's a case about a car that was impounded, it all boils down to who held superior title. And if the man doesn't have the MCO, he knows the state owns it. Now the man just lost. What if it's about a foreclosure? Judge doesn't even have to hardly say anything. He knows the man has a warranty deed and not the patent and grant deed. So it boils down to who holds superior title. Does he walk in with his authenticated birth certificates? Does he own himself? Has he changed his status so he's not a slave? Slaves can't own property. And the judge just administers. He's a magistrate and administers that jurisdiction that quick because you walked in empty-handed. So he takes that hat off. He puts on his magistrate hat. Now he's looking to see if the man's business affairs are in order. You're in commerce. You got a corporation. Is it registered? Is the registration current? You paying your taxes? You got your employees? Paying your employees? You got your contracts? You got your copyrights, your trademarks, your patents? Got your banking affairs in order? Everything's about contract law at that point. He is administrating that jurisdiction. Every judge in every case administers all three jurisdictions. And as patriots, you just want to jump out of the water in the air and onto the land with both feet. Now, it's nice to be able to walk on the land and be the man. but you aren't taking dominion over the other two jurisdictions. Did the man walk in with his fiat currency? Did he pay his filing fees with fiat currency? Federal case cost $402 to file. Bonnie took in a $400 money order and some change, silver, put it down. Took a picture of it. Federal court throws the court case out. Resubmits. Your Honor, by the way, paid the filing fee with silver. We're under contract. Oh. Court case back on. You understand what I just said, right? Court case back on. Put silver into the contract. What happens if you put silver into your real estate transaction? I bought 3,362 acres one time for $20 in silver and other consideration. That's what the contract said. $20 in silver and other consideration. Now the other consideration was I gave the guy $1.5 million in fiat junk. But we wrote the contract $20 in silver and other consideration. You know that property was never taxed by the county? Ever? I can't tax it because I paid in silver. I discharged the debt. Got to understand how this works. What do boxes mean? What do lines margin to margin mean? You need to understand what they are. You need to understand why attorneys put everything with lines and boxes. Because their job as a good attorney is to remove all the liability from the person they're working for and place it on the guy signing on the other side of the contract. And they move the liability just with structure, lines and boxes. Attorneys are good that way. See, these are the things we've got to learn and understand. Understand how to make our documents courts of record. It's very, very, very important how to do that. You got to learn on your own. We can only teach you so much. I'm telling you, there it is. I've got quite a few of these letters. This one's the best written by far. I was in a seminar in North Carolina. This guy walks up and hands me this piece of paper that I could barely read. It had been photocopied like 100 times. 100 times away from the original, and I could barely read it. But it's the only one I had, so I started reading it over and over and over again. I showed it to Bobby one day, and Bobby puts it on the channel, and all of these beautiful American state nationals went to work, and the guy found it in one of the government archive files. And now we have a nice, clear, crisp copy of it that I can read. So it's a beautiful thing. This was from the United States of America Department of Travel, issued to Governor Pat McCrory of Raleigh, North Carolina, regarding violation of the U.S. Supreme Court rulings regarding the right to travel. The subject was education of law enforcement and the North Carolina judiciary. Dear Governor McCrory, we are sending this correspondence to make you aware of the unconstitutional acts committed by your law enforcement agencies and your state courts against the people of North Carolina. These acts may or may not have been committed knowingly or intentionally, but we're writing to your office to ensure that these violations are brought to your attention so that they can be addressed and corrected. As you may or may not know, there are people in your state whose status is ostensibly different than the average U.S. citizen and are considered foreign nationals or American state nationals with certain safeguards and protections under the law. Our primary concern is that their travel rights in your state are not to be infringed. There's that infringed word I like so much. In order to educate your law enforcement regarding foreign nationals or American nationals in your state, you can call the Department of State here in Washington, D.C. to get clarity, or you can go to the Department of State's website and it gives the link. Or you can go to this website and download the manual. The Department of State also offers training for your law enforcement officers free of charge to raise awareness and compliance. Please log on to this link for that training. We have enclosed one of our affidavit forms for the exemption of registration and licensing for foreign nationals that foreign nationals should file in your state to lawfully claim the exemption. This affidavit also can be used by U.S. citizens who are not driving or operating a motor vehicle for profit or for hire. Thought that was interesting. Please forward this information to all of your law enforcement agencies in your state to prevent any unnecessary lawsuits from being filed against these agencies for not following the law and violating the rights of the people to freely travel without interference unless they are a threat to public safety. If you have any questions regarding this matter, please feel free to respond in writing, by mail, or fax any questions or concerns that you may have, and we will be happy to answer and address them. Thank you in advance for your cooperation and consideration in this matter. Best regards, Norv Eisenberg, Foreign National Division. It was CC'd to the Department of Justice Attorney General Loretta Lynch. Boy, she was a piece of work. And Department of State Secretary John Kerry, and he wasn't any better. I think that's pretty clear. I have a right to travel manual that was written by an attorney in Washington State back in 2009. I have the PDF on it. And it is a beautifully written document that shows in most states the laws, all of them, of why you have the right to travel freely upon the roadways. We have a right to travel book back there that Tony and Cordy have. That's a very good book. There's also another right to travel, which I'm going to apologize. They're probably sitting in my P.O. box right now that I wanted to bring here, that our Southern Oregon group put together. And it just gives you every bit of ammunition you need. For years in my pickup, I carried around a little file folder. I have that in my book of all the laws on why the Supreme Court decisions on why you do not need a driver's license to travel freely in your automobile. In the state of Texas, having moved down here, I found some other things. 3 court cases to be exact. One's a county court case, and I believe that one is Calles versus State, C-A-L-L-E-S versus State. Another one is a Texas Court of Criminal Appeals case. I think that one's Hassel versus State. I might have those backwards, but it doesn't matter. And the third one is Brooks versus State. It's a Texas Supreme Court case. All 3 of those cases say exactly the same thing. I have it in my book, but I'm just going to quote it to you because I'm getting tired. There is no such thing known to Texas law as a driver's license. Did you hear what I just said? All three of those court cases state there is no such thing known to Texas law as a driver's license. So why is there 25 million driver's licenses issued in Texas by the Department of Public Safety? Because you walk in by voluntary consent and apply for a driver's license because you believe you need one. Through your own consent of being a U.S. citizen, a person, and a resident, you walk in there and you get a driver's license. And that driver's license, if you look on it, there's a 9-digit CUSIP number that's attached to a $10,000 bond. And every year that you hold that driver's license in your wallet, it's a $10,000 bond. Every year. Renewed by the Department of Public Safety. 10,000 times 25 million is how much? Thank you. Just say a lot. I don't care what the real number is. It's a lot. It's more zeros than I got. The Department of Public Safety has a Dun & Bradstreet number. It's a private for-profit corporation acting and pretending to be government under the color of law, issuing you a license, title, and registration, all of which are bonds, every one of them, times approximately 25 million, and some people own more than one car or two. So maybe there's 60 million cars, who knows? I'm not counting. It's a lot. And those are all bonds. Going to that private for-profit corporation acting and pretending to be government, and you didn't need a driver's license unless you're a public servant in the performance of your public duties, you're hauling passengers for hire, or you're hauling goods or service for interstate commerce. It's the only three reasons you need a license at all. If you're not doing any of those things, you don't need one and never have. And they sold your children. They indoctrinated your children to go get a permit and a driver's license. And they reduced the age on purpose to incentivize them. And then they told your children, how would you like to drive at 16 without your parents in the car? No kid should be in a 4,000-pound Bullitt doing 70 miles an hour at 16 years old by themselves. They really shouldn't. Roads are different now than when I was 8. Have you been to Dallas? They navigated those freeways? Holy Moses. That's the definition of spaghetti in a bowl. Dallas, Fort Worth. Definition of spaghetti is their freeways. I'm telling you. Right? Sometimes you can. It's crazy over there. Engineering marvel. Tell you. Anyway, bonds. Your driver's license is a bond. Your registration is a bond. The car is bonded. The title is bonded. Everything's about bonds. Everything is about bonds. Your birth certificate's a bond. On and on and on. Everything you do is a bond. You join the military, that's a bond number. You're insured and bonded again. Get an advanced degree in college, that student ID number is a CUSIP number. It's attached to a bond. School bonds you. That's why some of these schools are worth billions and billions and billions of dollars, and then they tell you, parents, you're just not paying enough tuition. Well, they've got hundreds of billions of dollars in bonds in the bank on their CAFR funds that they're not reporting to you. They're double set of books. You could stop all of it today, and they're already self-funded for the next 10,000 years off their bonds. Those bonds have enough money in them that they're constantly traded, constantly earning money, and they're self-funded. The ones that tell you they're broke are the ones with their blinders on. The reason the debt clock's in New York City is to make you feel like you owe something. Just from the criminal cases alone in our court system throughout the United States, just in our federal courts, they collect $1 trillion a day off bonds in our federal court system. That's more money in a month than our entire national debt. And the Department of Fiscal Services reports that. And if you're a good researcher, you could find those reports. I did. I found all the reinsurance companies. What forms? I've got the forms in my book that they fill out for the bid bond, the payment bond, the performance bonds. On my iPad in my notes, I've got a list of bonds that the courts bond you with. An entire list. Sometimes on one case, there'll be 6 or 7 bonds. Then if that ain't enough and they're not making enough money, they'll change the case number and add another one. How many people have a case that ended up being more than one case number? I know a lot of people. Yeah. Lots of people. I run into them all the time. Every time they create a case number, they create a CUSIP, which creates a bond, which is sold under their ISIN number out the back door of the courthouse and held in the, kept track of through the CAFR funds, the Certified Annual Financial Reports, that second set of books that they don't tell you about, that the bookie's keeping. And then, to top it all off, they're all compartmentalized. So nobody knows anything. Nobody knows what the next guy's job is. If I took this row of people right here, just on your home alone, and I made them all county officers, and I made one a title officer, and one a real estate agent, one a county commissioner, and one a plot planner, a cartographer, I mean, we can go on and on. The tax recorder, the guy that does the planning, on and on and on. You think any one of them get up in the morning every day and say, I'm going to go steal somebody's home today? No, because they don't know that. They're just doing their job. They're just following policy. That sweet real estate agent, whichever one of you I made a real estate agent, I forgot. That sweet real estate agent, she gets up there and shows a piece of property. Do you think she knows that she's helping people, the county, on behalf of the state, steal somebody's property? She has no clue. If I was a bank robber and I had to hire a bunch of people to go rob a bank, and I need you to take care of the guards and you to take care of the customers, you to crack the safe, you to be the getaway driver, you plan out the routing and control the traffic lights while you're at it, I can assign them a duty. But if I tell them every bit of the plan and tell each other's job, well, then they don't need me anymore. Any one of them could go rob the bank. I'm just the planner, the guy that planned it out. Well, your county has a position called a county planner. And they stole your property by redescribing it, by creating administrative errors. One administrative error after another administrative error after another administrative error. And they all got together. Well, there's a mortgage broker in here somewhere. And they all get together, a bank. One of you guys has got to be a banker. On and on and on. They get together and it's a conspiracy to defraud. But they just had their blinders on. They're just good people. They come over to my house for dinner. It's all right. They don't know any better. That's how the American business, English, United Nations, let's keep growing, business enterprise, corporate Babylon structure is set up. You guys have raised your hands that you owned a corporation. Why did you set up a corporation? To limit your liability, right? Do we really want government to have limited liability? Or do we want them to be responsible for their actions? We want them to be responsible. Yet they form corporations to limit their own liability, to make them immune from prosecution. Now they're not, because under the jurisdiction of the air and the jurisdiction of the land, they're not immune. The only immunity a judge has is federal qualified immunity, and the minute he violates your rights, he loses his immunity. Now they would like to tell you they still have it, but they don't. They lose it. And under the jurisdiction of the air, under trust law, now they're bad fiduciaries. And that's the greatest of all sins, is to be a bad fiduciary. And they lose that. But you got to understand how it was set up and how we were compartmentalized so that we just do our job. What do police officers tell you all the time? Really? You're going to knock my man here onto the ground. You're going to throw your boot on his neck or your knee on his back. You're going to put him in handcuffs. You're going to violate every right that he has as a human being. And that's okay because you're just doing your job. Oh, all he's doing is creating a cause of action. And all cases are civil, even murder. Yeah, you got to understand what they're doing. But he's just doing his job. He's got his blinders on. Who trained him? County attorney. Texas has its own department of training, the trained police officers. What's it called? TLC or TCL or something like that? TLC. That was a joke. You guys didn't even laugh. I got to work on that one. That must have been the delivery. But they train officers. I got news for you. There's a failure to train in this country. And that's a cause of action in federal court, by the way. Failure to train. Sure, the officer may not know any better. It's not his fault. He's just doing his job. So go after his mistakes by the guys that train him. Go sue them, ask for their bond number. I'm giving you ideas here. Okay. It's a failure to train. That's a cause of action in federal court. Understand that. Everybody you deal with, even the real estate agents, not trained by the MLS, not trained by the real estate board properly. What time are we at here? Got 10 minutes. All
Hey,
right.
David,
Yeah.
the newspaper, the local newspaper.
You like that?
Yeah, that
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that we're sovereign citizens and terrorists. Well, the editor, I just got off the phone with the editor of that newspaper. Guess who's coming to visit us tomorrow for a couple of hours? Yep. She's going to come share quite a few hours with us. Sometime tomorrow.
So I'm going to have to plan tonight on my slander presentation, and my name is trademarked, huh?
Yeah, well, that may
And
be
aren't
for
they selling the papers to make money? Oh, wait, they're going to owe me Who wants to own a local newspaper?
Well, she admitted on the phone that she was operating by presumption and assumption.
Uh-huh.
And now she wants to find out the real thing because I was so nice and sweet to her on the phone that she just has to find out. I said, you know, those sovereign citizens, they're nuts. And they give us a bad name.
Well, they haven't met me yet, have they?
I look forward to her meeting you because you're gonna be your honorable, humble self and win her over.
I will.
I know you will. I can't wait.
Otherwise, I might have to ask her what color curtains she has on her house. I might have to change them.
Well, I invited her to come have tacos with David. Those of you that don't know what, David always talks about, you got to be nice to the judge and nice to the officer, like you're going to go have tacos later. So the first time I got to go have tacos with David, I bragged about it on social media. Hey, I finally had tacos with David. That was kind of a big deal for me, you know, when I had tacos with David for the first time. It was pretty cool.
I'm really quick before we have him run through this. I want to tell you a quick little story. I got him to write me a traffic ticket, and I have to work at that now.
You mean a check?
Well, they wrote me the check later, but I got him to write me a traffic ticket because I like to not just educate the police, but I like to educate the judges too. So I walk in this courtroom, and they push you over into this waiting room. Courtroom's on this side. The girls are right in front behind glass, and there's a waiting room on that side. So she tells me to go in the waiting room. I will go in there. There's like 8 other people in there, and I'm standing there with a bag of stuff. I don't go in naked. Okay, I take all my ammunition, my tools with me. And I'm standing there with a bag of stuff, and I start to notice that no one else, and they're all sitting 6 feet apart. No one, I had to laugh. No one else had anything in their hands. And I know they're just going to walk in the courtroom naked. And I watched them. We all got called into court. We walked across the hall and into the courtroom. I sit in the back. I like that. And I sat in the back of the room. That's where I sit every time, as far back away as I can get. And I started watching the procedure. And a man got called up front. And this judge was so good. He was so nice. He made them feel like $1 million for coming into court with that DUI. And he made them feel good about paying it. And he would reduce their fine from $1,900 down to $1,145. And, you know, I realize this is going to cause you some problems, so we can spread that over 3 to 4 months if that'll help you. And the man is going, oh man, that would be a big help, Your Honor. Well, he says that's $485 or something, $385 a month. Would that be okay with you? And the guy goes, yeah, it'd be fine. Whatever the number was, doesn't matter. Yeah, that'd be fine. I can afford that. And off he goes. You're dismissed. The girl go around the corner to the girls, and they'll have the paperwork all drawn up for you to sign. Pay your first payment. And the next lady gets up, and she goes in there. The first 3 people ahead of me, before they called me, paid almost $3,000 in fines in maybe 10 minutes' time. That's how fast he handled it. And he made every one of them feel like $1 million and that they were getting a good deal. Well, he was just reaming them. And then they called me, and I said, Your Honor, would you mind if I go last? I'm really enjoying the proceedings today, and I love how you handle people. I really want to learn from you and just, and he goes, well, I've never had anybody ask me that before, but sure. And he takes my file and he sticks it on the bottom. And he starts calling everybody else. And out of the 9 people that were in the waiting room before me, I was the 10th person. 10 people that night went through that little court in 31 minutes. He ran them through like cattle. And he made them all feel good. And by the time they were done, that court, that bank made about $15,000 of everybody that went in front of me. And every one of them felt like $1 million. He just made them feel good. He was like, he should be a judge on TV. He can take over for that old man up northeast somewhere that makes everybody feel wonderful. And I said, then he calls me. I grab my stuff, I walk up, and there's this little table that everybody walks up to, and the judge is like over there. I missed it. And I walk right up, and the judge is sitting there, and he's up about this high. And I put my elbow up on the thing, and I lean back a little bit. I said, Bob, I want you to know how much I learned tonight. You are awesome. You're good at your job. You've made every one of them feel like $1 million. Well, you just ream them for money. And I said that. And I said, it's okay. I know how you get paid. Just like that. And I looked at him. I said, I know how you get paid. And the ticket that I got him to write was for no insurance. I just didn't want to show him. I got to get him to write me a ticket in order to get in there. So anyway, I said, Bob, you know I'm American State National. I got Republic of Texas plates on my vehicle. I own it with an MCO. I said, I have insurance. I have my access to my trust. I can make sure my fellow man is protected. I said, I came in here just to learn today. And he looks at me and he goes, you know how I get paid? That intrigues me. How do you think I get paid? He says. I said, well, see that officer over there? There was a big, tall, black man standing over in the corner, looked like, you know, he just got out of the Army. That was a military joke, you Army guys. Low IQ bullet sponge. Oops, did I say that? Anyway. I said, he creates a cause of action. That cause of action created the case. You hauled me in here under that case number, and that case number creates a CUSIP number that's attached to a bond, and then you sell it out the back door of the courthouse tonight with all the rest of the bonds you created to a broker who sells them on Wall Street on the bond market. I said, and that's how you really get paid. And he said, yeah. I said, Your Honor, I'd love to go out to dinner with you. Can I take you to dinner tonight? He says, well, right now my wife's waiting for me, but I'd love to have dinner with you sometime. That's what he said. He's never called. I gave him my number. And I said, I'd love to have dinner with you sometime. And he says, boy, I'd love to have dinner with you too, but I'm busy tonight. That's what he said. And he just dismissed the case right off the bat. He tried to get me to plead guilty or not guilty right up front, and I ignored it. I just ignored it. I just went on and started talking. And I shook his hand and I walked out. And I walked over to the officer on my way out. I said, didn't mean to pick on you, but that's how you get paid too. You ought to learn how you're getting paid. And I shook his hand and I left. And it was just a beautiful day. All right, go ahead.
Love that story. We had some more come in. I need to give two more out. John Horn, come up to the front and get your freedom. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Well, you got both of them. There you go. Yeah. This is a whole stack of MCOs that we're delivering to our customers. We appreciate you guys, and just have patience with us. Give us time. We got a lot on our plates, but we are getting them out. I want you guys to see this. So, God bless y'all.
The state national movement is growing so fast that I don't know anybody working in any aspect of it, any area of it, that is not backed up and swamped with business. And these guys got hit so hard. They had no idea how many people at David Strait events would want their MCOs on their vehicles. And they got hit with thousands of orders. And so they take a little, processing work. So they've had their wives sitting in hotel rooms working on paperwork. I mean, these guys are, Cordy's wife is a big benefit to him. So anyway, they're doing it as fast as they can. Be a little patient, and they'll get them done and get them to you. So we love you guys. Thank you. All right. See you tomorrow.
Wait. Everyone, tomorrow our check-in process is going to be much easier.
Hold on for a minute.
If you keep your tags, your name tags, and wear them tomorrow, don't throw them away. It just makes when you come in tomorrow, I'll know you're already checked in. Okay. If you don't have your name tag in, we'll have to go through the list again like we did. This is just so much faster if you keep your name tags on you. Anything else, David?
Yes. I forgot, you guys, real quick before you leave. Another one of my adopted daughters, Marcella, she does the 7K medal stuff, and she also helps people with PMAs. So I wanted her to go ahead and, just hit the switch.
Hello. Okay. So yes, I'm back at the 7K medals table. So I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview at once. Kind of a lot here. We just launched this at the end of June, and we have over 150 people currently that have tried to get more information or trying to get enrolled on our team on the davidstraitsilver.com. So in saying that, take advantage while you're at the event, because you can actually get ahead about 150 people by filling out one of the white cards on the back. But what it is basically, you can buy, it's a buying club, so kind of like an annual membership fee, where you pay an annual membership fee and you have access to all the member benefits. So one of the things that David and I love is that you can buy gold and silver at dealer direct pricing with no minimums and no maximums. So that the average everyday person can start investing in precious metals no matter where you're at. You literally can buy 1 ounce of silver for as if you were buying it and purchasing in bulk. But the game changer, and the reason why this is exploding amongst the Patriot movement, is a digital technology called the Sound Money Wallet. Literally the biggest purchaser of precious metals in the world, JM Bullion, tried to purchase this from 7K Metals 10 days ago. The reason why it's so big and why it aligns with everything that David teaches is that they're launching a debit card to that Sound Money Wallet. They're enhancing that any day. It's going to be where you're actually going to be spending, doing everyday life anywhere Visa or MasterCard's accepted, and it's already approved in 168 countries. But you're going to be deducting from your own personal gold and silver bullion balance, which means you can be 100% outside of the banking system if you choose to be. So if the banks fall tomorrow, which we just don't know, we're kind of in unprecedented territory right now, you're going to be protected because you're operating in the private with your Sound Money Wallet. So it is a game changer. It's exploding as more and more people find out about it, especially now that David Strait's endorsing it because he vetted vetted the company and the Sound Money wallet. Everybody's trying to get in. So come and see me at the back before you leave. And there's other things, there's so many other benefits. It's like a membership that there's just more to it that we talk about. We literally have a weekly team Zoom call every week because we have that many people joining our team. And on that Zoom call, the first half hour, is onboarding for the newcomers to get your account set up, to make sure you understand how to transfer your money from your bank to your Sound Money wallet. And then the second half hour, we go over member benefits. There's healthcare, there's all kinds of crazy things that they added just, as patriots. It was started by 5 patriots out of Idaho Falls, Idaho. One of the families had over $1 billion to put towards this. So it's just been, they're just way ahead of the curve on everything else. So.
And the insurance is
Yeah, you can check out the insurance. It's through the Sovereign Nations of Indians, which means it's one of the largest PPOs that is not tied to the AMA, the American Society. So the doctors do not have to follow the government mandates, and it's like a third of the cost. Like a family of 4, $364 a month, and they cover like naturopathic medicine, chiropractic care, all kinds of things. So you can check that out on your own. It's 7khealth.com. Obviously, you have to be a member of 7K to join the healthcare, but I mean, there's a lot there.
That's what I was going to make sure is you told them about the alternative medicine providers can now get paid through a health insurance that's like 4 times cheaper than you can buy health insurance anywhere else.
Yeah, for PPO, solid healthcare.
Through a sovereign nations, our American Indian groups, and I've worked with our American Indian groups for many years, helped them with their sovereignty. Heck, we helped them get half of Oklahoma back to the Indians. Okay.
Yeah, and then the PMAs. If you do want a PMA, we are offering that now. We're the only source. I'm the only source that's doing them for David Straight. Right. So you can go to straightpma.com. Currently, because we just now launched offering this, it is one of the missing links to obtaining the minor trust. You can go to straightpma.com to get on the list. We do require a $19.95 retainer up front, but right now we're at 2 to 3 weeks turnaround time. That will change after this event. So if you want a PMA, that's how you get started. Okay, thanks, guys.
The who?